Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 11th through 14th, 2021. Well, we have had quite a couple of days here with this total solar eclipse in Gemini. Very powerful energies and disorienting. We're starting to come out. It takes a couple of days to come out of the new moon energy. And so this new moon in particular, with the sun, the moon, Mercury in square to Neptune with Mercury retrograde. Wow. So, but we're feeling the next kind of piece of this as the sun comes into its exact square with Neptune this weekend and early next week. So now the sun is who do we think we are and our identity, our role that we're playing. And in square to Neptune, after this whole 3 weeks of Mercury square Neptune, there's an energy of, well, it's interesting because Mercury's retrograde and the sun is, obviously doesn't go retrograde. And so they've crossed paths, and in a way the sun, is catching up to the energy where Mercury has been. So that Mercury retrograde, total solar eclipse, square Neptune, a rearranging of the psyche. So now we're having an experience of like, who am I then? Because we also have, with all this Gemini energy, Gemini is all these signs are all mutable, right? And mutable signs, especially Gemini, the air sign, it's about, well, I'll explore this, I'll look at this angle, I'll see this, chameleon fitting in. And then, that can lead to a loss of sense of self of like, where are you at? And that's kind of where we all are. It's a good thing. It's very disconcerting, but it's like, this is the sun square Neptune. It's like the old you isn't going to work in the new paradigm, right? And who are you? And this dissolving Neptune in Pisces, these transits are kind of have this dissolving energy, ego dissolving. It's so good for us to let go of all of the old stories and our attachments to the way we thought it was going to be and who we are and our role to play and all that, right? So this is an ego death, but it also speaks to spiritual service. Neptune in the birth chart really speaks to like your relationship to spiritual service, as well as connection to source and ability to receive images and information psychically, but then also maybe can get lost in the weeds too of confusion. And so we're trying to sort all this out. And now the confusion is coming to our identity. Who are we? And so we have to completely reevaluate. If we're going to have a complete psychic rearranging of this Mercury retrograde and eclipse season, and if we're like moving into the age of Aquarius and, trying to land this divine timeline and get on with this story, we're now examining, our role in this story. Because at this same moment with the sun square Neptune questioning who we are, there's definitely energies of the dissolving energy can bring you to places of, part of the ego death experience. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm nothing. There's all that I thought that was important is different. It's like this feeling of emptiness. And that's a part of the process that we're going through right now, because it's almost like in order for the light of the bigger truth of who you are to come in, you got to make room for that. Right? And maybe this is part of the tension in the psychic cleansing that's happening, rapid psychic release. But when that light can't come into those dense places, it makes me think of the Schumann graph again, of the Schumann resonance. It's like that the white energy is what raises the amplitude of the vibration. And then it comes up against the red is like the density that is like stubborn. And this is like exactly where we're at in our whole evolution. And that's a big part of the astrology right now, with Saturn in Aquarius in square to Uranus, a ruler of Aquarius and Taurus, speaking to what are the structures of the new age? Tension incredible tension as these come into their second exact this year from the 13th to the 18th. So this whole next week, we're going to be feeling this energy. And it's tension around the structures of our world and how they don't match the energetic vibrational frequency changes. This story all started astrologically way long ago, right? But right around 2011, 2012, we had a Pluto square Uranus. And that was about like, okay, the structures of our world have to break down. And then a revolution around that. And we had that big hit of energy energetically changing, but it's been very slow to see the actual changes. And this is Saturn and Aquarius. Now it's time to see the actual changes in the world we see in our reality that represent the energetic shifts that have happened on the planet. And this is part of the reason why everybody's feeling so uncomfortable. As a supernova soul, you're sensitive to energies. And so there can be this energy of overwhelm with the collective consciousness right now, the collective energies. It looks like, is there a sound issues? Anyway, so let me know if there's sound issues on the live. And so here we are, sorting all of this through. And the biggest energy this weekend that we're feeling is Venus in Cancer in square to Chiron in Aries. Now, Venus in Cancer is speaking to the vulnerabilities around nurturing, feeling accepted and loved and supported, and insecurities around that. And then in square to Chiron in Aries, it's about this energy of the wounds over where we've given our power away and our life force away. And with Venus, it's the feminine, our free energy, right? And it's like there's an energy of Chiron of like the strength of self and freedom and energy and life force. And Aries is like going to stand up for their truth. But that is a lonely road, and all of us have had experiences in past lives and here playing out in this life where we, the pressure to conform, and you stood for the light of truth, most likely against corruption and lies and distortion, and often those souls were exiled, killed, or, rejected from society, right? So in order to, you got to go along with the program, just like what's playing out right now, in order to, be a part of our group. Just buy into the lies, go along with the program, just go get your shot. Everything will be fine, as long as you're with the herd, And those of us who came not to do that, were, cast aside from society. And it's that lonely road place, in Venus. So this square is about where, like, deep grief around where we gave up our power, our free energy, our light, our love, our truth, in order to be nurtured, have family, community. We're all facing this right now. And there's a huge tension around this weekend. Maybe past life pictures coming up of what's, because we're having a bloom of the Piscean age where this control energy was all about using that energy of conformity and oneness consciousness to control humanity. And so it's blooming right now. And maybe that's giving us an opportunity to find deep in our subconscious these places, past lives, where you did try to stand in your truth, or then you couldn't in order to survive. That's the wounds of Chiron and Aries. It's like what you have to do to stay alive. And we've all had to shut down our light, and we all had to pretend we didn't know who we are. And we all had to distance ourselves from this big self. But you, as a supernova soul, you're so much bigger than what you even know. You're operating at such a small percentage of your potential. And it's time to excavate those inner treasures, because the Saturn square Uranus is saying the structures that need to change have to do with a revolution of wealth with Uranus and Taurus. Now, we've had Black Moon Lilith in Taurus for the last few months, and it's coming to the end degrees. So there's kind of an intensification of the deepest, darkest mysteries around, what is keeping us in low self-worth? Why do these precious gifts, advanced souls, like your empathy, your compassion, your love, why do you feel so shitty about yourself? It doesn't make any sense. So this is what we're uncovering in that excavation process. The revolution of wealth is new financial systems. It's like getting off of dark money. It's free energy. It's all that stuff. But it's like, it's really about you guys coming into your power and recognizing who you are and your wealth. And it's time for those diamonds to shine. The true wealth of the world. And this Gemini activation is like inviting out of the backdrop of the stage, out of the wings, onto the stage, the enlightened, empowered, inspirational leaders that we've been waiting for, supernova souls. It's time for you to get to set the stage. The stage is set, And so powerful energy here of all these factors together, because on top of all these stories, we've got Mars moving over into the sign of Leo today. So Mars that makes an inconjunct relationship to Jupiter at the beginning degrees of Pisces. And inconjunct is across the zodiac, but one sign over. And it's like something needs to be adjusted. And Jupiter in Pisces, Jupiter wants to expand whatever it comes into. And the Pisces energy, it's like there's that magical spiritual inspiration, spiritual service, this your life guided by something bigger and more. And that requires you to shine. That's what this astrology is saying. Right? You're a diamond in the rough, and it's time to excavate that shit, bring it forward. And this is the divine timeline. And it's interesting because it's this whole thing of like waiting for this thing to happen, and then you realize you're the thing that's happening. With nobody else around you who's like really can relate, and no guidebook, no rule book, and this incredible psychic purge that's happening. I can feel waves of this grief energy. It seems to go back to Atlantean time. And that grief that we talked about, where you were exiled or cast aside or rejected from society because you stood in truth, and it's like a wound that needs to be healed before we can move on. Maybe that's why it's manifesting itself right now. But I can feel this, the energies are just, the light is pouring in. And this is an interesting thing. This is a minor transit, Mars, Jupiter, but Mars and Jupiter in relationship is very powerful, always. And the other squares are kind of coming off now. We've got that Sun square Neptune and Venus square Chiron this weekend, but then the main energy is going to be that Saturn square Uranus of this whole year long. We're feeling it. And it's like about these changes that need to be made to build in the new energy. So this is huge. It's a missing piece, right? So you can have your psychic connection, your spiritual service, your love of God and all that. But if you're lost out in the weeds and the clouds and you can't focus that energy, then you can't do anything. Gemini is a mastermind. It's got this brilliant mind and ability to see different sides of the story, this leadership ability and oratory ability, but it's not enough on its own, right? And what about adding in this Leo fire, the shining, the expression, the creative expression, so Mars moving into Leo, because Mars is like our fire, our action. It's like about making things happen. And so this is about coming into creative expression, coming into leadership. Leo is a very powerful leadership energy. And so it's like, that's the missing piece, is what this astrology is saying. No more playing small. All right. And it's okay that you don't know exactly what that means. That's good, because you're in the ego breakdown, dissolving, breakthrough process. And I guess the more you feel unknown and misdirected, the more you're actually on your path right now. It's not easy. It's been a whole year of this energy, except for that a chapter's coming to a close after this Mercury retrograde. And when it comes out of shadow that first week of July, very different energy. So this is where we need to use this time to sort out our stuff. Use the Mercury retrograde to sort out that psychic stuff, to release wherever, the ancestral programs, societal programs, your past life experiences that, are keeping you playing small. And so it's just, again, the astrology, the perfect lining up, the perfect storm for our next step in this crazy experience. Now, part of the beauty of this energy is that with all this delusional energy and strange events in the world, it's showing us the movie, showing us the Matrix, and allowing us to escape out. And it's been a weird thing because people felt so trapped in lower energies and timelines. Like, it feels like timelines, inappropriate timelines, and like, oh my God, who are these people and how did I get here? Now, this is bringing up a huge energy too. This Venus square Chiron of like Venus in Cancer, this feeling of being abandoned. Supernova souls, typically there's an early memory. This came up in the soul group session. An early childhood memory, maybe infant, but you're in your, because you are a conscious soul, of this feeling like, wait a minute, how did I get here? What is this place? It's harsh. It's going to hurt. Get me out of here. And part of us disassociated at that time, right? As an advanced soul. And it's like, now we're bringing these pieces back together. And now the earth is changing and our whole reality is changing to support you instead of work against you. And but that's a huge shift in the whole self-worth and the treasure. And like, are you ready to go from the cast aside, exiled, leper to this buoyant, walking in love, full expression of who you really are? And so that's why we're in this big rearranging. So just be present with the emotions are all over the place, coming and going. Don't get too attached to what you're feeling, because everything's just trying to process through, right now. It's so rapid. And just be present. It's like time's getting so weird and reality is getting so weird that it's kind of like, oh yeah, this isn't really real. What if this whole earth evolution is like a movie? It's just like a snap of our fingers and we're gonna be like, oh wow, that was really traumatic, messed up, but whew, okay, here we go. Now we get to experience this other chapter. So let's do it. And return the diamonds, which is you excavating that power and your wealth inside of you, your light. And maybe these world opportunities are giving us an opportunity to stand strong in our truth and try that out a little bit over these next few days and weeks and months as the masses come into more of the truth of how we got here. So hold tight and be in the dissolving, be in the love, go excavate, and allow yourself to release all that's no longer true in this identity crisis. The identity crisis with Sun square Neptune is a spiritual identity crisis. So if you're feeling like, what the F am I doing here? And what is the point of this? I think that means you're doing it right. I think that means you're still awake. You still give a shit. You're still connected to your soul. You won. And soon is the celebration. And so a lot about like, don't judge or expect or have any certain idea about the way your life and moment needs to be. Massive surrender. We're we're not in charge in the way we thought we were. And an amazing freedom and release of all the stories that are keeping us feeling bad for other people, carrying the collective energies, just like all of that just washing away as we come back into a whole new paradigm and more solid truth of what it is we're doing here. So have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update, and be present with these mystical, magical energies. That divine timeline is trying to land in your life. In the soul group session, we saw about a week of assimilation time from that eclipse. So you're in a very crucial rearranging time, and make the most of it and let go of everything else that just can't flow right now. And just be in the presence of this truth, which is the diamond of who you are. There's so much more to you. This is the big lie. All the way back to Atlantean time, this one started. And we're turning the tables. And a big part of that is you like meeting yourself, taking the mask off, go backstage. It's hard because it feels like, wait, I thought that I'm nothing without these concepts, and this is the way we always have done things, and it's like ripping apart at the seams, because we are hereditary, expression of these generations, and you want to heal these things in your family bloodline. And so that's what's happening rapidly on its own, just from the change in energies. So be present with it and be willing to rip open that Superman shirt and find that diamond, and come into your superpower. And we'll see you on the other side of the celebration. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.